I'm really glad that someone was so bold enough to make a movie for the Coco Melon generation. I appreciate it. You know, it was an untapped market, and I'm glad that Illumination, in combination with Nintendo, saw the need to fill it with Super Mario Galaxy.
It's not untapped. There are 2 Paw Patrol movies that are currently
This is
either out
true.
or being released.
I don't know. Maybe Paw Patrol has more depth. I'm not sure. I can't speak on the Paw Patrol. Maybe the lore goes crazy. I don't know.
Hey,
It's a wild take.
It could. I don't know.
Paw Patrol going deeper than Super Mario Galaxy is sick work.
I would have to watch it and decide. Okay.
Do a side-by-side comparison.
I'd have to do a side-by-side comparison.
But which one's deeper? What are the themes of Paw Patrol?
Yeah, what are the themes? Yeah.
Philosophical.
Paw Patrol
dogs.
might have a more structured plot. That's all I'm saying.
Hey,
Anyways,
man, law enforcement pups is crazy. I'm gonna say that.
we are here to discuss the Super Mario Galaxy movie. This is the Peak of Fiction podcast, the podcast where we discuss peak fiction and maybe some popular stuff that's coming out. And in order to do that, we have our 3 amazing hosts on here. We would have, I'll say, what would you be? Would you like to be the Wario Gray?
The Wario is crazy. He wasn't even in this movie. Spoiler alert. Sure, I'll take it. Wow.
Okay. And I would say you're wearing red, so I'll give you. Actually, I'm wearing purple. So I think we can actually split this up this way.
Waluigi?
Yeah. No, I will not. I will not be the Waluigi. I'm afraid.
You are the Waluigi. Yeah, you look like a Waluigi. Not that I really
You look
think
like a
about
Waluigi, the mustache and everything,
Okay,
man.
so the problem with Waluigi is Waluigi's a weird character, right? Because Waluigi is like a mirror of a reflection. Okay, it is if Luigi is like a reflection of Mario, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct, right? He is like the opposite of Mario, his brother, and Wario is like a dark mirror of Wario. Wario is a dark mirror of Mario, right? While Luigi exists just to fill like a tertiary role to be a copy of a copy. He's in a weird space, is what I'm saying.
I mean,
he is in a weird space, but a copy of a copy is a.
He is a copy of a copy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Luigi's like
who's a copy. Okay, all right.
Okay,
brother.
if Wario is a dark copy, Wario is a dark copy of Mario, and because he's a copy of Mario, then he has to have his own copy. So Waluigi.
So you think so brothers are copies?
I'm not saying that, but for the Mario Brothers, kind of.
I don't. I think they're their own individuals.
Yeah, and that's why he's so freakish and lanky, It's like the cloning machine broke down.
Good at tennis, brother. Come on now.
Exactly.
You're a tennis master, Waluigi.
All right, so our second host is the Mario of the group, I guess, Super O.
Yeah, of course. How's it going, everybody? I'm the self-proclaimed #1 Mario Kart Double Dash racer in the world. Don't at me. And I'm here to review the Galaxy movie.
It's been like how many years since Double Dash came out, brother?
Yeah, well, guess what? and the amount of years that I'm still #1 at.
Actually, I'm gonna fact check this really quickly. Sorry, people. This is actually important to me. Mario Kart
This is important to you,
Double
Waluigi. You gotta
Dash.
explain
That's okay. So Mario Kart Double Dash came out in 2003. So we're doing some real unk vibes here. He's saying he's like a 23-year-old champion of Double Dash.
23 years.
And undefeated for 23 years. LeBron ain't undefeated for 23 years. Michael Jordan ain't defeated for 23 years. Well, you know who is?
I think we need some proof to back up these claims, but that's okay.
Just kidding.
But all right, so we're gonna talk about the Mario Galaxy movie, which is, I guess, controversial or there's controversy, mostly of the great divide between fans and critics.
Mhm.
And I think on this pod, I think we have a couple of critics and a fan, and we're gonna see who wins out. But before we get into like the spoiler section, because there was some cool stuff in there, what did you think about the movie? If you had to give a brief description of how you felt about Mario Galaxy, or is it Super
Uh,
Mario? The Super Mario Galaxy movie TM.
yeah. I can start us off. Uh, so this movie, I'll say this, right? I think the visuals are pretty good. I think Illumination does a good job of animating a lot of the characters, uh, and having a lot of like interesting. When we do see some of them have a lot of interesting landscapes and settings. Uh, I do feel this movie is very aggressively okay though, in my opinion. Like I don't think it's like the worst. It's not like as far as video game. Like I never played Galaxy, and to be honest with you, I haven't played a lot of Mario games. The only Mario games I've played is the Mario Karts and Mario Party.
Mm.
Uh, maybe like a cup, maybe like one platformer, and that's like stretching it. But like I've never been like too into. I've never been like I'm not like a Mario head. But watching this movie, uh, I feel like it was definitely. I think the word, the term is like jingling keys, and there is like a lot of jingling type of keys with a lot of like Easter eggs and whatnot. And personally, I actually am a fan of like Easter eggs, and like I could appreciate like a good like that's a nice reference to something. That's a pretty cool thing. Uh, it is pretty constant in this movie though, and some of the novelty does wear off a bit, but I don't think it's terrible. I think there's bad video game adaptation movies, and I don't think this is one of them. It's just aggressively okay, in my opinion. Uh, but it's not like the great. But it's not the greatest. It's not a great movie either. Like I would put like the first one on top of this, just because I feel like the story in this, really think hampers down, and plus just how characters kind of act in this movie. I feel like there's like arcs that are set up that just are either end like abruptly or just never get resolved. Oh, and we'll get more into it in the podcast, but uh, I I will say this is yeah, I will say that this was a very okay-ish film to me.
Um, see, I'll also jump in so you can end on a little bit of positivity, okay? But for me, I did not enjoy this film a lot. Now, parts of it I do like, and the problem with this film is I cannot just say it's bad. I wish I could. It'd be much easier if I could say, "Oh, this film's top to bottom bad," but the animation quality is incredible, right? The animators really worked very hard. There's some really good shots. There's really good choreography. Some really good fight scenes. Some really good use of powers. There's a couple of like 2D kind of like scenes. There's like puppetry. I think that might have been real life puppetry in there. Um, really awesome stuff in this movie visually. Um, but unfortunately, this film is, I'll say, it's for the fans. And when I say that, I'm saying for the fans in a derogatory manner. Um, as in, as a slur, because it really
F
got,
word.
yeah, it really got to me like watching the movie. And like, I think we saw like opening day, like on a Wednesday, as soon as it came out. Um, just how easily pleased the audience around me was. Like it was just like it was some real like, oh my god, it's that reference, you know. Um, and I've played a couple Mario games. Like I said, I'm not a big Nintendo head, right? But I think the most recent Mario game I played was Odyssey, which I enjoyed. But I'm not like a Mario fan. I remember playing Super Mario Brothers 3 when I was a kid. I've played a couple of like a bit of like the Super Mario Brothers like RPG for the GBA. Like, you know, I've enjoyed a lot of different Mario things, but I'm not a Nintendo person, which means the references do not have a nostalgic effect on me.
That's fair.
And when that is not the case, it becomes more frustrating than like enjoyable. Instead of being like, oh yeah, you're kind of like, oh, well now we're doing this. And I would say the beginning of this movie and the end of this movie have like a plot or a story kind of going on. It's consistent things. But there's a large section in this movie, I would say like a good like 50 minutes, which is just the most annoying like scene changing thing, trying to keep but it feels like it's trying to keep children's attention in a really kind of detrimental way, where I don't believe there was a single scene in this like 50-minute stretch that lasted for more than like 60 to 90 seconds. It felt to me like you were watching like a series of Mario TikToks on the screen, and then after every 60 seconds someone would scroll to the next one, and that is not a good movie experience in my opinion. Even as beautiful as it looked, even as great as the animation was, I just kept being like, I wish we could sit in a scene, but those scenes could even breathe because we had to get to the next set piece. We had to get to the next event. The next thing had to happen. And it was moving, 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 moving. And because of this, there is like no plot really for like the middle of this movie. Things are just going on. And then it kind of resolves itself at the end. And it's just a mess. It's just a mess. And despite all the good elements that go into it, I just can't like say this is good. Right. I don't I'm gonna say I'm not gonna go as far as saying like, you know, some of the critics who give it like a 0 out of 10. I think
Yeah,
that's
I
like
think that's OD.
that's crazy. Yeah, that's OD. But it's it's just really kind of below average. And I think a lot of people will say, well, it's a kids movie, right? Or there's two excuses. It's either for the kids or for the fans, right?
Mhm.
For the kids, come on, guys. There's plenty of good kids movies. Like, kids movies have been good for decades. We don't have to lower our standards by saying it's a kids movies. Like, some of the best movies are kids movies, like Puss in Boots and the Last Wish, The Incredibles, like a lot of the old Pixar stuff.
Yes,
And there's some really like Spider-Verse. There's a lot of great new kids movies and old kids movies. So just because it's kids does not mean it has to be dumbed down. And two, it's for the fans, which means it implies it's for older people because kids will not get all the references. So it's for older people. And if it's for the fans, then I don't think this is necessarily a good product for the fans, because just because like a thing from the thing you liked is there does not make it good. You know, it's kind of like parts of this felt like you were watching like E3, like old E3, and we got a bunch of trailers that you could get hyped at. But like that's not that's not a movie, you know. So raise your standards, everyone, collectively, and I think we'll be in a better place. But Gray, please shine some, do a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of light.
I will say that so disclaimer, so that my two co-hosts are not the biggest of Mario fans. I am a giant Mario fan. I Mario was my first experience with gaming. And if you've been a fan of our pod, you know that I talk quite a bit about gaming. Um, I great gaming experience. Platforming is my favorite gaming genre, and nobody makes platformers as good as Nintendo. So while watching this film, had very little context as to what the film would be about or the storylines. And admittedly, Super Mario Galaxy was one of the few games that was a Mario platformer that was on a system I refused to purchase, which was the Wii. I kind of skipped a few generations of Mario.
Wow.
I absolutely I
That was
refused to buy
and that was
Wii.
probably the cheapest and most easily accessible Nintendo
Right?
console of all
I
time.
just didn't like it. I didn't like forced motion controls. I wasn't a fan
Wow.
of the concept of Wii.
Was it just too kiddie for you? Where you're like, I can't. I'm not.
I
I'm not
like
gonna do
a
this.
traditional controller gaming experience.
Damn.
I
No, I
like
hear
to
you.
sit. I like to sit down with a controller and hold it and press buttons. I don't like to
Damn.
wave
So,
my.
so you're
It's
saying
weird
you
to
didn't
me.
buy the greatest innovation of our time, the Xbox 360 Connect?
I refused. A hard
I
no.
did. Anyways,
Just
that was not the best
hard no.
decision, but
I absolutely hate motion control, forced motion control in gaming. I don't mind it as an optional thing. Like if it's like, hey, this game, if you want to, will have the option for motion control. Oh, okay, it's not bad. But like
So you
making me,
so
that's
you
a
missed
hard
out
no for
on
me, buddy.
you missed out on the Wii Sports Resort sword fighting.
1,000,000,000% never bought it. Never
And
got into
you
it.
missed out
Not
on
for me.
Just Dance. You
And
know,
never.
you weren't in your living room, hitting that crank that Soldier Boy to Just Dance.
Definitely
No? Okay.
not, brother. Definitely not.
Oh.
Like and keep in mind, I enjoy like unique games. Like I was a big fan of Guitar Hero. I don't mind unique games, but motion control specifically as a forced element in an entire game systems concept was to me a bit distasteful. And
How do you feel about VR?
VR is fine. VR is fine. Because I think VR is immersive enough where I can kind of give it a pass. I can give VR a pass.
Okay.
But I think to like be in the real world, hold a controller and be forced to like woo, like I'm just like, what are we doing? It's a bit much. But that's my own personal thing, right? I am a traditional gamer. I enjoy traditional styles of gameplay. Platforming is my favorite gaming genre. It's what I grew up on. Huge fan of Mario. Nintendo is the best at making platformers. I tried other platformers on other systems. I was a huge PlayStation gamer. Little Big Planet is awesome, but it's not quite as snappy as Mario. I say that to say this. I was pleasantly surprised to see the main villain from Super Mario 2 in this movie. I was like, What? What's happening right now? What's he doing here?
Bowser
Birdo,
Jr.?
I was like, what?
Oh,
Yeah, like
The
Birdo was
frog
in the
guy.
movie which is in the games. Birdo was like a minor villain in Super Mario 2 that you would see kind of reoccurring throughout the levels. But the big bad in that game was not Bowser; it was Wart. And I was like, oh wow, this is interesting. I also played a little, like I've seen clips. I should say I played. I've seen clips of Super Mario Galaxy when they did the remake for Switch, not long ago, and I saw scenes of like Princess Peach's castle getting taken. And I'm like, oh, all right. I see what they did there. What we got in this film though is we got a Frankenstein of Mario games. And it's frustrating because I feel like if they stuck with one game's story, they likely would have had a better story to tell. I think their attempt at meshing 3, 4, or maybe even 5 games together into a singular film made some things feel a bit disjointed. However, on their own, each game's story is good. And so I think that the challenge is that they attempted to do too much in too short a span of a film. And what ended up happening is what Bate has already shared is we ran into a wall where the story was moving so rapidly because they needed to create a storyline with a build up, a climax, and a resolution for like 4 different plot points because they pulled content from 4 different games. And it was a bit overwhelming as someone who was just trying to enjoy a good story. I will say though that as a fan of Nintendo and Nintendo games, I was pleasantly surprised to see some characters from games that I'm familiar with and that I enjoy. Like Pikmin had a cameo in there. Star Fox had a cameo in there. There were some characters from Super Mario Sunshine in there. What happened?
It's supposed to be spoiler free. Who cares?
Oh, what is supposed to be spoiler
shoot!
free? because I was gonna
I did
go
not know
like
that.
because I was also
My
gonna go
bad.
ham on the on the.
I was
didn't know
going to
that.
get into that when we were. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
All right,
Sorry.
spoiler alert. I didn't realize that. All right, I thought this review assumed that you've seen the movie yet.
They
All right,
put him in the trailers. It's fine.
I
yeah,
didn't. Well, I didn't know when I went in. So,
Bro, this podcast is to come out like a whole like in like a week after. It's okay. It's
yeah,
all right.
sorry if you haven't seen it yet and this is new information to you. I apologize, but I won't say any more spoilers. I'll just say that they did add in characters from a lot of other Nintendo franchises into this movie, which some people thought was a precursor to like a Smash film coming out. I don't think that that's what this is a precursor to. I just think that Nintendo said, people really liked our first film. They really liked the storyline. They really liked the characters. What if we just added in more Nintendo IPs into this next film to just continue to feed into this nostalgia train of what our fans are enjoying? And I think they took that idea and then cranked it a bit too high. They lacked balance in this film. This film lacked a bit of balance. I think they just went too far with how much they wanted to fit into one film. And I think it suffers from that. But I do not think, as some of my co-hosts have already mentioned, that it is a bad movie. I think it is a bit better than okay. I know Super League, it's aggressively okay, and I understand that perspective. As someone who's indulged in so much Nintendo, for me, it was a bit better than okay. I would struggle to call it great. I'd call it decent or pretty good. I kind of like lean around that ranking. I liked it overall. I like when the film ended, I was like, oh, I enjoyed that. Because it scratched a few itches, but it didn't quite nail the story as well as the first movie did to me. But those are my initial impressions.
Okay. Well, now we're gonna fly into the plot summary. We're gonna do a real quick summary. We're gonna keep it short. Then we're gonna get into some deeper thoughts about the movie. Or not, so get ready. Now, if you've enjoyed the podcast this far, please leave us a like, subscribe. If you are on Apple or Spotify, follow. I can see the podcast is growing there. We appreciate every single one. And with that said, we'll get to the main show. So,
go.
Let's go.
The Super Mario Galaxy. I should say the Super Mario Galaxy movie by Illumination Pictures in conjunction with Nintendo trademark begins with Princess Rosalina telling a story, with all her Lumas, right? And she's like the mother figure in these little star guys' lives, and she wants to tell a story about the Peach, but they say no, tell a story about Mario, tell a story about Mario. So she goes to tell a story about Mario. And during this time, it cuts over, and we can see that doesn't cut over at first. I think she goes to start to tell the story. Or no, I'm getting the details mixed up. I believe she tells the story, and we get introduced to Mario and Luigi, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are on. It's actually a pretty cool scene because they're on motorcycles and they're riding into. Let me get this right.
Is it the Dry Dry Desert?
Yeah, it's Tosarena, like the kind of like Aztec Mexico inspired location from Super Mario Odyssey, and with all the little Day of the Dead skeleton people, and they have an issue where they say that there's like a monster, or is there some kind of creature in this upside down pyramid, and we need you to figure out what's going on here. And turns out it's a Yoshi. Or the Yoshi.
Yeah.
I guess there's more than one Yoshi. But yeah, it's Yoshi, inexplicably voiced by Donald Glover.
Actually, didn't even know that at first.
It's one of those things where he did a good job as actual Yoshi. Like, he did a pretty accurate Yoshi. Which I'm torn about, because on one hand, he did a good job. On the other hand, that could have just been a regular voice actor. But unfortunately, we need to have like a million celebrities to do voice acting now, and it is what it is. That's just the world we live in.
Hey, if they like his voice, I can kind of I because like it's not like he said anything crazy as Yoshi.
Yeah,
like the Yoshi voice.
And there's a reason we have professional voice actors, right?
Yeah.
They do like a really, really good job. Not saying actors don't. I was like, for example, in Invincible, right?
Mhm.
Spends probably too much money on a cast of like celebrity voice actors, and those celebrity voice actors do be like, they do be kicking, right? I think like with Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Conquest,
Yeah, Steven Yeun.
Stephen Yun, Michelle Yeoh as Debbie. Like they do a great job. However, um, who probably do a little bit better is like a professional voice actor because that's their job. And when you think of like all those iconic voices that you can like, that you remember in like cartoons and things in the past, are those like your Yuri Lowenthal's and your Nolan Norths and your
Chris
Clancy
Evans.
Browns. Yes, yeah. And because they're really good at doing voices. There's like a bunch of classical cartoon people who are really good at doing voices. But, when it comes to movies, it's like they've all been
Well,
pushed
that's fair.
aside.
I think I do. I feel like it's different though. In the, like, if we're going back to Invincible, right? It's different in Invincible's case. Uh, but I mean, you can use a voice actor. But I think the actors they do use, whether you want to argue if they spend a lot of money on them or not, the voice actors they do use are do have like good direction and they are like really good. Like I can't like picture. I know a lot of people. There's like this dumb controversy when Conquest was first like showing up, and how we were like, "Oh, his voice is supposed to be deeper," and then when we actually got like heard it more,
Hmm.
you were immediately like, "Actually, nah."
No, his voice is great. That's the
Making
thing. I can't even like really hate it, but it's just one of those things where it's like, um, it pains me for the industry, I guess.
Well, I mean, Donald Glover has done some pretty big voice acting roles. Like he was Simba in Lion King.
yeah.
He was Prowler in Across the Spider-Verse. Like
Okay,
I
all
mean,
right.
like,
Let's pause. Let's pause.
okay, sure, let's pause.
Let's just stop there.
We're
Just
trying like
stop
this
there.
is his first
Uh,
voice acting gig. Like,
okay, Simba in Lion King. Simba in Lion King is a perfect example of what I'm talking about
okay,
because like that's a perfect example of like he did not that normally would just be a voice actor, but you can't, I guess, for whatever reason, you can't just sell your Lion King movie with regular voice actors. You need to also have a bunch of celebrity stunt casting.
well, he sings. I think it's worth noting that Lion King has musical performance, right?
True.
Which is why they chose not just voice actors, but people who could not only voice act but also sing, because they needed to have musical numbers. In my opinion, I don't think Seth Rogen was the best choice for a singing performance, but
Yeah.
I'm not here to judge him. I think Donald Glover and Beyonce were solid choices for duets within that film as people that could like talk and sing and it sound really good. I think that film suffered from some other things that had nothing to do with the vocals.
Yeah.
It was to do with the very bizarre
But
animation.
to talk about Mario, I would say the two unnecessary like voice acting, of course, is Chris Pratt as Mario is still like it's not even he's not even really doing anything crazy on that voice as Mario. Not that Mario necessarily has to be it's a me all the time, but he's really just doing a voice.
Mamma mia!
Charlie Day, on the other hand,
Charlie Day.
really, really good as Luigi.
So
Is that from? Is
this
that
is
Charlie
interesting.
from?
So you don't like
Yes, Always
Mario's
Sunny.
voice acting in the
Oh
movie?
wow, that's what's up.
It's mid. It's not. It's not terrible, but it's not great. You
That's
really could
interesting.
swap in. You could swap in any other white
That's
man
fair.
in there.
I kind
Any
of see what
other
you mean. It doesn't.
man from
You could
Brooklyn?
swap in any Chris. Really,
Chris
if you
Any
told me that
Chris?
was Chris, if you told me that was Chris Pine or Chris Evans or whatever, I'd be like, oh yeah, sure.
You think Chris Evans would make a good Mario? Come on, brother. What are
He'd
we
be
talking
equally on par. He'd
about?
be equally on par.
This is a
but
crazy take you have
I
right
mean,
now. I don't even believe you're saying this.
I will say though, I see what you mean with Yoshi because Yoshi, it's not like Yoshi says anything,
Yoshi is different. Yes.
and like But I think this also like shows like the how good Donald Glover was because like literally I before knowing that it was Danny Glover, I thought it was like the original. They got the original guy who voiced Yoshi. I thought,
Yeah, he was that good,
Yeah.
bro. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I
He's not
agree.
good.
but like but like I'll agree. Like you don't need a Donny Glover
You do
actor
not.
for
You do
Yoshi.
not.
You know what I mean? Especially because that's
You remember when they did Transformers? Like, last by this tangent, but they did the Transformers one last year, and they got a bunch of celebrity voice actors for all the Autobots for whatever reason.
I don't even remember.
Transformers 1?
Yeah, Chris Hemsworth is Optimus Prime,
Okay.
and I'm pretty sure like Scarlett Johansson is in that role. I think as like the female Autobot. Like there's a bunch of like celebrity. Keegan Michael Key once again is there. But there's a bunch of celebrity
Was he
voice actors in
Megatron?
Transformers
Didn't
1.
they
He's
didn't they
Bumblebee.
have the dude who played Paperboy from Atlanta
Yes,
as
yeah,
Megatron?
yes. He does a good job. But I'm just saying that's another example of like for whatever reason we just can't get voice actors. They must all be celebrities.
I'll never forget.
Um
I can't erase Paperboy out of my head. It's just such a great character.
Boy, all up on my paper boy.
So they figured him out. Yoshi has a backstory. I guess he was in Brooklyn for a bit because he was the egg from the post-credit scene last movie, right? So he came out, he did the tour of Brooklyn, got into trouble, and then ran back for the pipe to the Mushroom Kingdom. Then we think we have the bit of Rosalina. Rosalina's defender.
Oh, if I could just say something about Yoshi's entrance real quick. I felt like him joining the crew was super like abrupt. Like he
Yeah.
kind of just shows up and it's just like, well, he's part of the crew now. And you know, I get like Yoshi is like a core character in the Mario uh mythos. You know, he is like part of the gang. When like in the movie specifically, it is very much like he shows up and he's here. He's like he's a even
They
though he's, like,
do lampshade that, you know, in the thing they do lampshade, and like I think Toad comments on the fact like,
yeah.
oh, well,
He's just here.
he's just here now. But you know, once again, I'm mixed on lampshading because you know if you point out a problem in your film script, that can be cute, but at the same time, if you have other issues, it's like okay, all right. So they so then Rosalina defends her home from Bowser Jr., who goes to attack, and then you know she puts up a good fight, but then is ultimately I think is she has to defend her castle from a missile attack, and so she gets hit and she gets captured and restrained. And you'd think, well, Rosalina is pretty important. Assuredly, she'll be a big no. She is a damsel in distress for the rest of the film, and is in a cage for 90% of the film. Sorry, Galaxy fans.
Yeah, I mean, in the games, I mean, she's an important character, but you don't play as her. Play as Mario. So I think they were kind of like, yeah, this is a Mario movie still.
So
I don't like that how they made her like a damsel in distress thing, though. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, we could have definitely gotten more from her, especially because they advertised her a lot in like a bunch of like trailers and whatnot.
Yeah, they got another celebrity. They got Brie Larson to voice her.
Oh yeah,
Captain Marvel
yeah,
herself.
So you know,
So
I
well used.
know those Grifton channels are eating good.
Captain Marvel herself is playing Rosalina, man. It's a big deal.
Yeah. But I
so
feel like they also show like, oh yeah, sorry. I just want to say, I feel like they also just showed like most of the fight that she does, most of her fight she does against Bowser Jr. They show in the trailers,
Mhm.
and it's just like a real like, this would be cool if I didn't already see this like 3 times every time I go watch a movie in AMC and a Mario trailer pops up. You know,
is what it is.
That's fair. That's a fair critique. That's a fair critique.
You have to you have to understand, Super. Most people see like 2 to 3 movies in a year. We are the exception. We as A-listers, we are that
It's a
1%.
Toto Yuji thing.
Yeah, we are the exception. You know, take pride in it. So from here, I think one Luma gets away, and then they reveal the villains, Bowser Jr. And Bowser Jr. is like, I'm doing this for my dad. I love my dad, even though he disappeared one day and never came back. So he's trying to impress his father and, set off this big evil plan. One Luma gets away, and also during this, I think we cut back. We see that Mario and Luigi are protecting the kingdom. They're trying to rehabilitate Bowser. And Bowser is like, I'm trying to get control of my anger issues, and all that jazz. So Aluma comes back and says, "Oh, we gotta save Rosalina," and Peach decides, "All right, I'm gonna go out solo to do this for whatever reason." It is kind of crazy that Peach just goes up Toad and says, "Yeah, I'm going to solve this crisis by myself."
Yeah, but
I know Peach is tough, but like, wouldn't you want the guys that have been solving crises and helped solve your last crisis to assist you? But I guess they all get there eventually.
Yeah.
In the meantime, they leave the kingdom in the Mario Luigi's hands, and I think this is a pretty good section where you kind of pan out, and there's like a world map of the kingdom, and they're traveling around like in the games to different parts to fight different things from the games. Like they fight like the Hammer Brothers at one point.
Yeah.
They do like the Mario 2 thing when they fight the what is it, Bubble Bass? No, the big fish.
Cheap.
Someone knows. Cheap.
Mm.
They fight Cheap. Luigi has like the
Bubble
frog
Bass.
suit. Whatever. I'm not a. I try. Okay? I try. I give things a real go. So then, so they do a bunch of cool stuff around the kingdom. But Rutro, Bowser Jr. shows up to try to get his father. And they have a cool fight with Bowser Jr. He has a cool paintbrush power, I think, from Mario Sunshine. And he almost gets Bowser, but he doesn't. And now, because Bowser is still tiny from the last game. And so they go out, and they're trying to figure out, okay, what are we going to do next? How are we going to get out of the situation? The entire castle is gone. And they're trying to figure out the next step, and they're like, okay, we're going to proceed. Bowser is like, please, just unshrink me, and we can work together to solve this crisis. I'm reformed, trust me. They don't want to do it, but then Bowser rage baits Mario to hitting him, which restores him, because that's how mushrooms work. If you've been hit once, then your power reverts. Which also is like, if that's the case, couldn't Bowser have like jumped from his castle at any point?
It might
He
be.
He wouldn't have been hit. He would have just died.
That's how that works. Okay, maybe.
Yeah, he probably just needs to have like someone actually hitting him.
Yeah, he needs to be hit by an enemy for the mushroom power to revert.
Okay, so from there, this is where we get into a section where I'm gonna call "and then," because a bunch of things happened. Okay, so bear with me, folks.
Very
All right.
quickly.
So Peach goes to the Galaxy Gateway, the Gateway Galaxy. Okay, and then with Toad, and then a monkey steals Toad's backpack. Okay, and then the monkey goes down into a secret duct. And then Peach and Toad follow the monkey. Okay, and then they find an entire other city area. Okay, and then they keep following the monkey through the city and go on a bunch of adventures. Okay, and then they go to a casino, and the casino is run by Wart, right, from Mario 2. Okay, right, and then they have to fight a bunch of ninjas. Okay, and then they get information from Wart, who inexplicably knows the location of Bowser Jr. Okay? And then she goes back. All right? And then, at the same time, Mario, Luigi, and Bowser go to the Beehive Kingdom, okay? And then the Beehive Queen is like, you offended me, so you're going to you're going to work in my prison mine, all right?
Well, they actually like destroyed an enormous
Destroyed
part of her land. Yeah, because
the
like a
land.
castle landed on it.
Yes. So, but then Bowser is like, don't worry, I'll do it. I've changed, so I'll do the work because I'm super strong and buff. Okay? So, and then she says, that's cool. You can take a beetle to the Gateway Galaxy. So Mario and Luigi take the beetle. Okay? So, and then Bowser's working in the mines, and then Bowser Jr. takes his spaceship back for like the third time to the Princess Peach's kingdom and picks up his dad. Okay? So now they're together. Okay? And then Peach meets up with Fox McCloud, who's also here.
Yes, sir.
From the Star Fox series, because he went through a portal.
Yeah,
All right?
boy.
So they're all getting ready together, and Fox is like, okay, Peach, I'll do this job for you. 5, I'll be up in 5. Okay? And then, at this time, Mario and Luigi somehow cross through space on the Beetle, and they get there at the exact time as Peach and Toad are getting ready to go. It's very convenient. All right?
It's a fast Beetle,
So,
man.
and yes. And then they all get into the ship, okay? And they're all going for... No, they're trying to get to, I guess, the home of Bowser Jr., right? To rescue Rosalina. But then Bowser Jr. also, like, intercepts them on their way. Because Bowser Jr.'s location really is whatever the plot needs him to be. So Star Fox, despite destroying all of his lasers and different machinery, and is really beating the brakes off of their ship, Bowser Jr. Jumps down, goes onto like a landing place on the ship, right? Takes like a gun and is able to like lock on aim to the ship and shoot them with a beam that turns Mario and Luigi into babies.
I'm gonna just pause you right here for a second.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pause you right here for a second. As I said it, Bowser Jr. is with all the smoke, man. Bowser Jr.
Yeah.
From the very first time that we see him,
Oh yeah,
he is with all the smoke.
Yeah.
And it's funny because in his mind, he's just like, nah, man, like these are my father's like wardens. These are his ops. Like I gotta drop these ops, bro. He came through with an axe, with a mace. Like this dude was really like trying to drop these guys. Like from the very first time we see him. And so, like they're on a ship and he's in a battleship and he's just like, man, like I actually want to kill these guys for real. Like they actually deserve to die. Like they deserve to die in real life. And his dad's just like, I don't really know if we want to go that far. Like killing them for real is a little crazy. He's just like, whatever you say, Dad, I won't murder them. I'll just do something else. And like, it is funny to see like how nice Bowser Jr. is at almost everything he tries to do, bro. Like he's a marksman, he's a weapon specialist. This dude's up. He's like he made a planet, bro. Like
he's also a magician. Yeah.
He's also a magician. Like, bro, this guy's nice. Like, it is kind of funny how like Bowser he's just doing it to impress his dad, but he kind of went bananas, bro. From like there's nothing he's incapable of doing, basically. Like everything what he wants to do, he's just been able to just do it. Even if it seems like absurd. Like, what do you mean you made a beam that would destroy a planet at a shot? Like, what? That's insane. And he's just like, yeah, I made it. I made a planet with roller coasters and stuff. Like, bro, it's crazy. It's really interesting character concept of like when the kid actually can live up to his dad's expectations, but like far exceed them. what happens with this kind of character. I thought that was interesting. I just wanted to
I
note
I
that.
think no, I think for sure Brother Junior is like the best character in this movie for me.
my
He's a
issue.
standout, bro. He's a standout.
He's a standout. I think what Benny Safdie plays him. Another
I think
celebrity.
so. Yeah.
My issue with Bowser Jr. is, like I said, he really does whatever the plot needs him to do. He can just do it anytime, anywhere, time, space, doesn't matter.
He's the GOAT. I don't know what to say. He's like the Michael Jordan of the
he's
story.
unlimited.
He's just kind of everywhere all at once. So then, okay, they land, they're babies, so they crash the ship. Right. Well, just Mario and Luigi are babies, but they cause enough problems to crash the ship. So then they're on a planet, and they're like, oh, and Starbucks is like, oh no, my ship's all busted. I can't leave. What I'm gonna do? So Mario and Luigi as babies start running around and causing mischief. Okay.
Mhm.
So Toad tries to stop them, but then there's a big like T-Rex, right? Toad and Yoshi try to stop, and there's a big T-Rex. From like I think it's the same T-Rex from Mario Odyssey.
Yeah.
So then they're like, oh no, I don't want these babies to get eaten by the T-Rex, but they're all acting all wild, da 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 da. And then I think Toad gets turned to a baby, and then Yoshi has to rescue all of them, and they do like the whole baby Mario and Luigi from Yoshi's Island thing. And they save him, and then they all get turned back to people, right? It's just, what a nice little bit that they did. So then Luigi is talking to the radio, and the Loomis are tapped in to the radio for whatever reason. They're tapped in to the CB radio, and they pick up Luigi's distress call, and they're like, yep, we know exactly where that is, and they rescue them, right? And then the castle is also a ship that Star Fox can pilot, so then they all lock in to go to the location of Planet Bowser.
Mhm.
Right. Make a little bit of backstory where the reason why Bowser Jr. is doing all this is before Bowser abandoned his son, he'd have like do little puppet shows where he was like, oh yeah, and then me and my son will be so cool, and we'd have a whole planet and have a death ray, and it'd be rad. And his son was like, wow, I gotta do that exactly like that bedtime story. And he did. He did.
Mhm.
He's a real go-getter, as Gray brought up. So they get to there, and then they're like, well, we're going to, do this. We also find out Peach gets her memories, and she's like, oh, Rosaline is my sister, which is new lore. This is not something from the games. They made this up.
Okay.
They made it up, folks. But they said actually they're long lost sisters, and Rosalina had to separate from Peach because dark forces were going to try to take them both because they had incredible power of creation and whatnot when brought together.
Yep.
So from there, they all go to attack Planet Bowser, and Peach wants to rescue her sister, and Mario goes to fight Bowser and Bowser Jr., and they also do like a cool Mario Maker level, which I think is really fun, where Bowser Jr. creates an extremely unfair level, but they get through it. And I think that works. That was a good bit. That was a good bit.
This is a
They
great
fight
scene.
Bowser and Bowser Jr., and they do the classic Mario 1 reference where Bowser gets into lava, but then he reemerges as a bone monster.
Dry
And
Bowser, they call it.
Dry Bowser. And then
Mhm.
Bowser and Bowser Jr. and Dry Bowser fight Mario and Luigi, and they use a bunch of power-ups. Then I guess to quote unquote redeem them, um, Bowser Jr. like paints like a big dragon, but then the dragon's like, "Oh, I won't be controlled. I'm gonna eat you," and he eats Bowser Jr. And then Mario is like, "Well, good thing in one of the boxes of power ups I had the star that makes me Superman. I mean, I didn't use it the whole time, but I guess it was there. So he picks the star, the red star that makes him Superman, and then he beats the dragon pretty easily.
Yeah,
And
Yeah,
you know,
the flying
they
Mario power up.
they subdue Bowser Jr. and Skeleton Bowser, and then Rosaline and Peach use their powers to make the planet plants now, so it's good. Even though they worked really hard on that planet,
hey,
everyone was cool with it being a lava mecha planet, but I guess now it's plants now,
That's why those
so they
hit apart.
Cosmic
so
powers
so
OP,
they do
man.
it, and then Peach kisses Mario because there's also a subplot, I guess, about Mario wanting to date Peach, and then they send the Bowsers to prison, and then there's a post-credit scene where Princess Daisy's here. Wow. That's Mario Galaxy, folks.
All right,
What a film! What a picture!
What a summary. Yes. Wait.
I will say, it's there's like I said, the and then segment is probably the most irritating part of the film for me.
Yeah,
because I think things are just happening, and it annoys me that the film does not believe that children or man children don't have the attention span to enjoy a scene sitting for a minute.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel you. It, like you were kind of mentioning, it kind of does go from like plot point to plot point to like plot point. And I'm someone I'm someone who kind of values, a story and like a plot when it comes to just a bunch of movies or literature I'm trying to partake in. And it don't have to be like the most like craziest thing, but as long as I can like be like, this is point A to like point B. But when point A to point B becomes, well, point A goes to D and then we go to C, and before we go to B, or we just add a lot, but that's where it kind of gets a little bit for me, even for like a kids movie standpoint. But I will say, right, like I think there are bits of the movie I do like enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like this movie's like how long is it? Like an hour 40?
98 minutes, yeah,
98? Yeah.
about so.
So like I would say like every 15 to 20 minutes, like there was like a good bit that like I either like laughed at or I chuckled at, or I actually like or like even if I didn't laugh at it, I'd be like, oh no, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Or even some cameos. Like I'm not gonna
Wow,
I'm not
a
gonna lie.
one bit every 15 minutes. That's what that's how we're judging things now.
Hey, I'm just saying, there's something
If it's
there.
enjoyable, it's
There's
enjoyable.
something
It
Don't
used to
be a
be.
hater to
I'm
be a
just saying,
hater.
back in the day, you used to rate things on bits per minute. But now, I guess because the economy, we have to ration bits.
I'm speaking.
So once every 10 to 15 minutes.
I'm speaking officiously or whatever that word is. But I am just saying, I remember how I felt throughout it, right? And like, there'll be like some good bits in here. Now there's some bits that I didn't enjoy, or there's some bits that didn't hit as hard. But uh, I there's like part of the movies, there is like aspects of the movie I did like. I think my favorite cameo in it was definitely Star Fox, because I genuinely was not
He
expecting
was
that.
cold.
Yeah,
cold,
and the fact that, and like, here's the thing, right? And this is like more of like a personal thing, but like my first ever video game was Star Fox Adventures for the GameCube, and I loved that.
Oh,
Yes, I loved playing that all the time.
look at us.
That was my
Nostalgia.
that was
Oh my god!
that,
Oh my god!
that was the face. right?
I'm glad we can judge the quality of a movie based off your personal anecdotes. This is incredible.
I'm sorry if you don't have that joy in you, Bates. It's true. Like I get that you were working in the mines as a kid, and you know
I was not working in the mines.
You never had the joy of sunlight.
I remember my earliest memory of a video game was Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Okay,
that is funny, bro.
But and as someone who didn't know about any of the cameos coming into the movie, because the first one they showed, or the first one I remember them showing was like Rob, and at first when they showed Rob, I'm like, huh, is that Rob from Smash? I didn't know that he was a Mario character, but I'm like thinking, okay, maybe Rob's just a Mario reference that I just didn't know of. Then Pikmin came in, and I'm just like, Pikmin. Okay, that's definitely not Mario. Is this definitely actually like a Smash like reboot? And then when Star Fox came in, it blew my mind. I genuinely was like, what? What? And the fact that he has a somewhat big role too is crazy.
He's a big role in the movie.
In a Mario movie is kind of wild. And I will admit, Star Fox having as big as a role as he does in a Mario movie is kind of wild. It's kind of like, what are we doing? But personally, I don't know, man. I can't hate it. I can't hate it. That's my boy. That's my goat. That's Fox McCloud.
People should be hyped for seeing characters they enjoy. That's just what it is.
And we'll never see him in anything else ever again.
I do love that. People, I don't know. You know what? Okay, so that right there, that encapsulates so much of everything that's wrong with modern movies and culture and whatever it is. People should be hyped for characters they enjoy. It's just the most like, I get it.
But he does
on one hand, I'm not immune to astonishment. Okay? I'm not immune to astonishment. I'm not.
You said you're enjoying things?
And I just catch you trying to enjoy something.
At the same time, we have to have like a higher standard for culture besides I recognize that guy.
I do. And we do. I assume that
no one's saying that the movie's good because he's there. That's right. No one said that.
But I am saying,
you know what? I enjoyed it. But that's where you're wrong. Okay, that's where you're wrong, Gray. People do say that. People are saying that online. People are saying, "Wow, it has all the references from the stuff. Hence, it's good."
If you can't explain why it's good outside of that, then I get it, right? But like if there's like something, if you can't explain why this reference makes sense, or not even why it makes sense, but why it like adds to the film, how the parts like integrate with the plot, I don't see what's wrong with liking it. Personally, like what I enjoy about the Star Fox cameo isn't even the fact that it was like a cameo, but the fact that he was like had like a genuine part in the film, like you know what I mean? It wasn't like a Star Fox came and it's on like 10 out of 10. It was a Star Fox came and he actually did something. He actually had the zip. Which is crazy. Again, it's kind of crazy that they gave Star Fox such a big role in a Mario film. But it was, but I enjoyed the role. I enjoyed what he did there.
Yeah.
So,
I won't take that away from you. Not yet, at least. Not yet.
Oh my god.
All right. So besides that, I think we're talking about fan response. I think fan response is a big part of the discussion around this film. And I will say, the fan response and the, I guess, backlash against critics has been a frustrating process for me, especially as someone who really thinks this film's like, on the lesser end of animated films, at the very least. Watching people be like, oh, well, the critics are just haters, okay? You don't understand. This movie was made for kids, or interchangeably, this movie was made for fans, is just the most, for me, is the worst type of argument. Because it's saying either A, kids' movies cannot be good, or you shouldn't have high expectations for kids' movies, So, bad plots or, hyper fast pacing or whatever is fine. Or you're saying, well, because I'm a fan of this property, they can't do anything wrong, and it's glossed over my ability to think. And I think both of those things suck, in my opinion. And it really, I think the discourse around like Rotten Tomatoes of like the audience versus critic score has been miserable as of late.
Mm. Well, what's the Rotten Tomato score at right now?
Oh, good question. Okay, Super Mario Galaxy, the Super Mario Galaxy, by in conjunction with Illumination and Nintendo, is sitting at a solid 42% on Rotten
Yikes.
Tomatoes,
Is
which
that
I think is
audience
fair and
or
appropriate.
critic,
Oh, okay,
or is that just
critics. The audience. Okay, the audience score is 89%.
Mhm.
I think
Okay.
42% is deserved. I think it's fair. But I will say most people do not know what the Rotten Tomatoes score means. And for a refresher course, Rotten Tomatoes is a measurement of how many critics gave a movie a passing score, right? It's how many critics gave a movie a C or above. It does not mean that the film is particularly fantastic, even if it has a high Rotten Tomatoes score, or the movie is necessarily bad if it has a lower. It's just the percentage of critics that gave it a passing score, right? And I really hate that it's 2026 and people still do not know how that works. And people cannot tell the difference between Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic. They think they're the same thing, and they believe when they see a 42% that they're saying, oh, that must mean Mario is a 4 out of 10. And that's not what that means. It just means that there's a low percentage of people that gave it a passing score. And it is the crisis of our times.
See, and that's why I stick to IMDb.
You know
Fuck.
what? IMDb. Okay, I will say this: IMDb user scores are like terrible. They're terrible and unhinged.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why? Because anyone could just give it I mean, there has been some recent controversies because some people has just been review bombing certain episodes.
Or reverse. I think a problem with a lot of these is people treat review scores like sports, right? Like it's a kind of like a fan. There's like a fandom around review scores. So if you're a fan of something, then you gotta like up the numbers, right? Or if somebody rates it low, then that's like an indictment against you. And I think what we get, especially with TV shows, as of late, there's so many television episodes that get crazy glazed on like IMDb by fans trying to like up those score numbers up. And so they're gonna have an article where they say, well, this episode's the highest rated episode on IMDb. And like I'm some stuff is good, but some of the stuff does not deserve it, you know? But I think especially in those last couple years like Attack on Titan or
Solo
even
leveling,
recently
brother.
with like One Piece or Solo Leveling or whatever, there's been like a concerted effort to get it like as close to a 10 as possible for episode scores. And that's crazy, dog.
Yeah, no, I see.
I mean, sometimes it is warranted though. Like I think JJK's season finale got like a super high
Yeah.
score on some of those review sites, and that last episode was just animated in the most insane way. The fight choreography was like chef's kiss. So I hear what you're saying, bro, but I think we have to sometimes acknowledge that sometimes things are actually great, or our perspective is a tad bit limited based on context, and we might not see all the things that make something amazing based on our own personal perspective, but other people can, you know.
Especially if it's in like a niche or another if it's about like a niche topic that we don't delve ourselves in.
Okay, so Mario's
totally
on a niche
valid.
topic,
That's
though.
valid, though.
Mario's on a niche topic, and this is your thing about quote unquote fans, the 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 fans, right? Um, really emphasizing the F and the fans, is the fact that you shouldn't have to have extra context to watch a movie. Okay, when I go to the movie theater and I'm seeing a movie, right, that's a sequel to another movie, it shouldn't be like, oh, by the way, in order to enjoy this movie, you had to have played this game and this game and this game, because then you would be invested and then you get all the references. I think that's a poor way to make a movie.
That's fair.
Okay, yeah, I can't unknow what I know about Mario, so it's tough for me to watch it from the perspective of someone who hasn't seen any of these, played any of these games, and know any of these characters, and just was like,
No, I'm not
that
saying
last
that.
one was pretty good.
It's going to definitely enhance your enjoyment, right? For sure. And I think that's one of the beauty of adaptations is if you know the original material, having extra information can enhance your enjoyment. But it should not be a requirement, right? And I think you shouldn't be like, well, that person didn't play or do this, right? They didn't, they didn't read the prerequisite material, or they didn't play the prerequisite game, or they didn't do this. So their opinion is invalid for judging a film.
No, that's fair. I feel like every opinion is valid, whether you read or not read, but whether you got. I guess in this case, in the case of like Mario, whether you played the
Source
games or not.
material.
Yeah.
You played the games.
Yeah.
This film rewarded the gamers for sure. But if you
Yeah.
are not a gamer and if you're the only Mario content that you've ever seen in your entire life is the first movie, and you watch this movie, I can understand somebody being like, "Huh? Who are all these people?"
Yeah. But in that retrospect, I mean, if your project is nothing without the source material, references, then what is it? If it's nothing without it, then
you don't deserve it.
what?
Yeah, it's real that it's just I don't think you should have to do homework to appreciate it, a movie, right? Especially one that's as simplistic as a plot as this. And the thing about it is, I understood the references. I understood like every single reference in that movie. I do, right? Because it's one of my jobs is to know many things. Okay. And I understood every reference. I just didn't have a personal attachment to the reference. Right. So I knew the significance of Star Fox, right? I know about all his friends like, Slippy and wow, I'm gonna get a fraud.
See, you don't even know. You don't even know. Look at that.
Slippy and Falco.
You're a fraud.
And the rabbit, whatever the rabbit is, in Andros. I know about that.
I know, man. I got you.
So I know about all that, right? And I understand Star Fox, but because I just don't have any reverence for him, right? I get the reference to like Mr. Game and Watch, and I get the references to even like Super Mario 2 or whatnot. I just don't. I'm just not personally attached to it. So if you gotta bring more heat than that, man. Is what I'm saying. The reference also has to be combined with good story.
That's fair. I think this story just suffered from trying to do too many things.
Yeah.
Very true.
I think I was irritated because I think there is a storyline in this film that was deep enough that if they thought it through better, they could have written a better story, which is related to what makes you family, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think the relationship between Peach and Rosalina was interesting because Rosalina knew everything related to the Peach situation. She was very in the loop. And she was purposely choosing to keep her distance to keep her sister safe. Peach was too young to remember all those details, and so she was just kind of longing for her relatives, just longing for like the Toads adopted me, but they're not my blood family. And I think the film kind of starts these ideas, and here's one of my complaints about the movie. It starts these ideas because in the last movie we were also talking about this, how Peach does she was longing for family in 2 movies in a row. The Toads found her and they treated her like family. They were like, "This is your birthday. Today we found you." Right? Like they care for her, they love her, and they adore her. And she loves them too, but in her mind she's like, "Yeah, but like, where's my real family at? Like, where's my parents? Like, where's the people that made me? Like, I just don't like. I'm missing some of this. What's going on?" And in the movie, we find out that her parents are celestial bodies. Like it's not even it's not like people per se. She was made from like star power. Um, and like when I'm watching this, I'm just like, oh, that's an interesting concept. So the only real person that she's related to is Rosalina. And Rosalina's separated to keep her safe because their power could be misused if they were found together. And we have like the Bowser Jr. and Bowser plot point where Bowser was basically he was a hardworking dad that
Yeah.
was working so hard that he kind of neglected his family. He was at work too much. And I'm like, oh, these are really interesting things that you could probably build an interesting story through with this. Like you got these different types of family units, and this is like a really interesting recipe. And then they just kind of like they kind of don't make the dish right. And so
Yeah.
like you're watching, you're
You
like,
you gotta cut.
wait,
Yeah.
wait,
Ultimately,
what's going
you
wrong? Like,
gotta
what
you gotta cut it
happened?
down.
I thought we were doing something.
I thought we were doing something. Like I was watching the build up and I was like, oh, that's a cool idea. Like I see what they're doing here. Like you got a family of villains, you got a family of heroes, and you like, oh, this is cool. You know, Mario and Luigi are brothers. Like, oh, this is gonna be really interesting. Like, what are they gonna do with this family thing? And then just kind of like, what if Bowser was influenced like Stockholm syndrome style and felt like his captors had the right way of doing things, and then his son was just like, yeah, nah, actually. And like the father's trying to influence his son, but the son's influence is stronger, and it's just like,
Yeah.
what what's happening right now? Because like Bowser in that scene you described earlier, Bait, was like, hey son, like they're not really bad guys. Like they're cool. Like maybe we shouldn't kill them. And I'm like, oh, okay. Does this mean that Bowser is gonna take a parental role and try to like
Guide him towards
steer
the
his son in a different direction?
right.
But no, actually, Bowser Jr.'s role in this film was to shift Bowser back into being an antagonist, and it 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 kind of went off the rails really fast. Because he kind of like drove Bowser to a state of berserk. Um, and it was like, this is such a strange way for the story to go. I'm not really clear on why they chose to go this route because there were other things they could have done that would have made more sense with the things that they had here. And I don't know. I think the script writing could have used a bit more help. I think they had some good ideas and they just didn't flesh them out properly. I think they were trying
And
to stick to the story scripts too closely and it just didn't mesh.
and I will also say there's like zero character arcs in this movie.
Yeah.
Everyone's
Or
kind
like
of
they get
static.
cut short. Yeah.
Yeah, but everyone kind of shows up as is and then just does their thing. Which I think the first movie had like a real character arc for
Even
Mario and
Bowser?
Luigi.
You feel like that?
But no,
Yeah.
Bowser starts then stops.
Yeah. That's one of the ones
He
that
gets halfway through his character arc and he goes, okay, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I think to make this movie and improve this movie, you cut some of the extra stuff. You cut the whole B thing entirely. You probably heavily if you want to keep the city and casino stuff, you heavily reduce that. you get Mario and Luigi in space like immediately because that's the whole point. And then, if you want to have them kind of track Peach or whatever, then they can even keep them separate. You keep them separate, but you should focus more on, as you said, Gray, on the family aspect, what it means.
Yeah.
The relationships. You gotta do that a lot faster. But this just like it's trying to cram as much nostalgia and references into this film, and it just can't. It can't sustain like the weight's too much. It's buckling
Yeah.
underneath it.
Yeah. It was frustrating. I mean, overall, it was fun. I'll say it was a fun watch. Like the fights were fun, the animation was fun, the colors and the visuals were a lot of fun. It just
Mm.
got confused. The story just got a bit mixed up.
All right. Well, let's bring this home. Okay, let's wrap this up. What is your score for Super Mario Galaxy? Would you say it was peak, mid, or trash?
I gave it a mid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
mid
too
for
rated
me.
it mid. Yeah.
All right, we're in the mid scale. For me, it's low mid.
a mid.
Okay, that's fair.
For me, it's act. We kind of went through our reasons for how we felt about the film and about the story. But like I said before, the story aspect in a movie or show or anything I'm trying to delve in is very huge for me. And I really enjoy. I do think the animation is really good. I do think there's some good bits. Characters, but the writing of the plot and writing the character for most of the characters is still like it takes it takes a huge hit from me. There are a couple hype moments. I would say like I really enjoyed. It's just a really short scene when they were first like fighting Bowser Jr. and it was Mario versus Junior, and Junior kind of
That
had
was tough.
Mario kind of cornered, and then Luigi just comes in with the D kick. I'm like, oh, that's tough.
Yeah, that was tough, bro.
I
But
agree.
it is. But fortunately, I don't think there's that much to him. So when I said it was aggressively mid, I do think it is very like it's a very okay film. So for me, it's a mid. It's like right in the middle.
Hmm.
But to be honest, if I'm gonna kind of do my skill off of like a point system, it is closer to the lower mid section, but it's in the mid
Mhm.
zone.
Okay, and
Yeah.
Gray.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the movie overall. I think overall it was like I had a good time watching this movie. Um, but as a person who is in the work of critiques right now, I'm kind of taking myself out of my personal nostalgia out of the equation a bit. And if I'm just observing it from a broader perspective of like what actually did we get as a movie, and if I were to watch this movie with either little or no context other than the first film, what would I think of it? What would be my thoughts on the movie? And I think if it's just me and it's just my personal take, I'm probably rating it mid peak. Um, but
Peak
it's
mid.
not just me. No, it's mid, and then it's within the mid tier peak. If it
Okay,
was just
okay.
me
Yes.
giving my own personal preference take, because I think the things that it does well, it does extremely well. I think the things that I enjoyed about it, I enjoyed a lot. Fight choreography was amazing, man. Like you mentioned, the Luigi. There's just so many cool moments in the movie that I thought were really interesting. Even Princess Peach's combat scenes, I thought were really well choreographed. It was just fun to watch. Um, However, it's not lost on me that there are people that have no idea who these people are. Like they introduced an enormous number of characters in this movie, an enormous number. Like I think they almost doubled the cast count when I look at it like a movie one versus movie two, and
Mhm.
they didn't give an enormous amount of justification for why these people are there. Like who's Wart if I don't have
Yeah.
context? Like who, why do these people matter? Why would I care about these people? Bowser Jr. has a bit of justification, but um, like there's just so many things and factors in the film, like Star Fox, like who's that guy? Like I don't know who he is or why he's relevant. He's a guy who flies a plane. That's cool, I guess, but like I don't really understand why he's in this film. He doesn't connect to anyone. He's kind of from another galaxy. Is it like a multiverse thing? But like, what is he doing here? Right? I think they didn't add a ton of justification for all these people being in the movie. Some of them have justification, a lot of them don't. It's tough because I can't ignore how I feel personally, but I also want to acknowledge the broader
Great.
perspective.
Go with how you feel. That's your review.
Okay,
No, let him
I
get it out.
I
We still
yeah,
got
I know
10 minutes.
he wants me to get through this.
No, not even that. But like, I don't know. I feel I feel personally, the point of this is your perspective and your review, right? I mean, I guess you could try to reach like logical, objective end, but if you feel a certain way, you feel a certain way.
Yeah, so critic Gray.
Mm-hmm.
That's not adding in his personal perspective from his real life storyline. We'll probably rate this mid.
Mhm.
Gray, the real life person that has had a history with Mario and Nintendo IPs, will probably rate this a mid peak. Take
Okay.
that how you will.
Well, I think I'm on the lower end. You're on the upper end. I was in the middle. So these will converge into mid. The official peak of fiction ranking for Super Mario Galaxy. Mid.
And off the top road is that Beto?
Yes, right here. While Beto is not able to make it to the pod, we will have his take and review here.
I have a mic like this for right now. All my ops are people who likes this movie. Said with love. Anyways.
Well, here's my take about the Super Mario Galaxy movie. Well, it's already been a week since this movie has come out, and probably a lot of people's discourse about it is gone and left. What has not been said about this movie has already been said. It is basically the biggest reference movie of all time. I am not a big fan of this movie, duly because I am a fan of the title, the Super Mario Galaxy. I have played the game, so technically this movie was supposed to be meant for me and all the other kids and people who has played the game. But specifically I want to say it's kind of this game was kind of like early Gen Z's first attempt or first ever 3D Mario game. I can't speak for everyone, but to me it was. I never had the GameCube. I never had the N64. I never had any of the earlier consoles. I had the DS and I had the Wii. When I got the Wii, I got some Mario games and then I got Super Mario Galaxy. And I absolutely adored this game. From top to bottom, I played it multiple times, what have you. You get the gist. When the first movie came out, I was definitely intrigued, but after release, it wasn't too appealing, but I appreciate it for what it was. It was a simple movie, top to bottom, okay, competent narrative. And when I got the sequel, I feel like the first one is a lot more appreciative because that one had a plot. This one did not. It was a bunch of silly situations that get resolved after 10 seconds and a lot of references. There's been a lot. It's just one huge reference movie and none of it is entertaining. I will say the animation is beautiful, but that is all it's going to get. There has been many complaints of saying, what do you expect? Citizen Kane? No. I expected competent storytelling and a competent script. This is not a great movie, and if you're a fan of just seeing the thing that you played as a kid getting shown right in front of your screen, that is good for you. Any part of this movie that is appreciable, none of it is. I could not stand 1 second more of this, and I couldn't. I don't think I would ever want to watch this movie ever again. I would call this peak trash. I'm looking for competent storytelling and a faithful adaptations. I'm not looking to point at the screen and say they did the thing that I remember when I was a kid. I'm just hoping that they do something cool with the thing that I played as a kid. But as a fan of this game, this is the most clickbait of movies.
Right, but that being said, I think we got our thoughts out. It was a pretty good podcast for Peak of Fiction. Hope you enjoyed. Like I said, if you have not subscribed or liked or all that jazz, please do. We have some much more things coming down the pipeline. And next week, we are kicking off the beginning of JoJo Fridays. You know? JoJo Fridays were a beautiful thing. They're gone. And Netflix says they will bring them back in the fall. So if you can't wait that long, and you really want to get into Steel Ball Run, and you want to hear people talk about Steel Ball Run, well, we are continuing a thread we left, I think, August of last year. We are covering the Steel Ball Run manga, but not as much. Not as much. We are all very busy people. So, for next week, we will be covering, let me double check, I think a few chapters. So if you want to keep up with us, we're going to be reading. Last time we read from the first chapter all the way to True Man's World, but we're going to slow down that pace. So we're going to read the Green Tomb and Catch the Rainbow arcs. So that's 4 chapters. That is chapters 36 through 39. We're going to read those 4 chapters, those 2 arcs. And then we're going to go arc to arc for the next, couple months as we cover Steel Ball Run. So please be excited.
Feeling good. All right, everybody. Be sure
Thank
to
you so much for joining us tonight, everyone.
Yeah.
For today,
Yes.
in the afternoon, whenever you listen to this, wherever you may be, we appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thank you for pulling up, and remember to Mari Go subscribe to us.
Sure, man. Sure, dog. If you insist. Anyways, see y'all later.
Bye.
Peace.
Catch ya.